Welcome into the Spotlight Omaha podcast, where we take you around the city of Omaha, introduce you to local business owners, influential figures, and people who are making an impact on our community today. We are brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing. Pixel Fire Marketing is a locally owned marketing firm who specializes in website design, creating social media ads, and engaging your business online. If your company could benefit from any of that, check out pixelfiremarketing.com for more information today. Joining me inside the Pyramid Contractor studio is the CEO of the Horseman. It's Lynne McNally. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it.
Hello. Thank you so much.
We've been trying to do this for a while, so I appreciate you making time for us. Hey, I think the one question that the Omaha/Lincoln people have is when we have horse racing in this state, and it feels like horse racing has always had a special place in people's hearts in the state of Nebraska, with Exarban being what it used to be.
In Omaha in particular, yes.
And Horseman's Park being the kind of cathedral to horse racing that it's been over the past 2 decades. What is the biggest difference between Horseman and WarHorse, and how did the marriage kind of happen?
Well, the Horsemen have been in existence in the state since the 50s. We were actually formally incorporated, I believe, in the 60s. So we've been around forever. We represent the owners and trainers in the state of Nebraska. If you have a start at a racetrack in Nebraska, you are a member of ours. The difference between our Horsemen's group and every other Horsemen's group in the country is that we own our own racetracks. No one else does that.
When we talk about the right time for table gaming and slots in Nebraska, why was it at the right time to look at what horse racing was in 2022 and what gaming could be in the future and kind of make that transition?
Well, in some form or another, I've been working on this single issue for 24 years.
Sure. Yeah.
I've had different jobs. I've been doing different things. But for 24 years, I've been trying to get casinos at the racetracks. A good friend of mine told me I should not tell people that because it sounds like I'm not very successful. If it took me 24 years to get it done.
I think that's part of the story, though,
yeah,
right? And it's part of the current story because,
right,
like, you guys are nowhere near done with
right,
kind of where this
near.
thing needs to be. Yeah.
Well, so Lance Morgan, who is the CEO of Ho-Chunk Incorporated, it's a wholly owned subsidiary of the Winnebago Tribe of Nebraska. And he is an enrolled member of the tribe. He had an idea in 2015 that they had actually bought Atticad from us. Right. At one time, we owned Horseman's Park, Lincoln, and Atticad. We did not own Lincoln at the time. State Fair Park was still in business right by the university. The university wanted the property for Innovation Campus, and so State Fair Park went out of business when the State Fair moved to Grand Island. So we did not have a racetrack in Lincoln, or we were not going to. Something that a lot of people don't know is that the university was kind enough to lease us the racetrack for 3 years for $1 a year to give us time to—
Pretty good deal.
to find time to find an alternate location to build a racetrack. So we finally found a place, but we needed the money for a down payment on the land. It was several $1 million. Yeah. And so we decided—
That's famously more than $1.
Yes. So we decided to sell Atticad. So actually, Lance and Ho-Chunk buying Atticad is the reason that we have the track in Lincoln, is because we use that money for a down payment to build Lincoln, which I think is sort of kind of a full circle kind of a thing.
Yeah, and obviously those two are under the same umbrella, same operation,
right,
but are functionally totally different right now. Is that a struggle for you guys?
No, not at all. Lance came to us in 2015. He had this idea that he had a racetrack. He had a relationship with us, and he came to us and said, listen, I would like to try to legalize casinos at racetracks only.
Sure.
And if I do that, I would like a contract with you guys to operate your casinos. I will pay for the campaign, and all you have to do is be my partner and help me out. So that was a great deal for us, and has continued to be a great partnership. We were unsuccessful in 2016 in getting the signatures, but we were fortunate in 2020 to get 750,000 signatures.
Can I ask, was there anything different about your approach in 2016 versus 2020?
Yes. The difference in approach was that we had a consultant that was handling it for us in 2016. Lance and I took the reins in 2020.
You know, that's so interesting because we've had this conversation in this room with business owners and people who have done business in Omaha. And the one thing, kind of common thing that keeps coming up is in Omaha, you have to earn it here, and you have to earn people's trust in this market.
Right.
And I wonder if that. I mean, listen, it's the voters, so it matters. Is that kind of what you guys saw in that? Was we needed to be more relatable to the Omaha people?
Yes, and no one has the passion for this that Lance and I do.
I agree.
Nobody.
I agree. By the way,
Nobody cares as much as we do, and I understand why they don't. You know, for somebody else, it's a paycheck.
Sure.
If you're working on this. For Lance and I, this is our entire life. This is probably not healthy, but all of my friends are at work.
Sure. Yeah.
My entertainment options are work.
You say that, and you say it's not healthy, but you say it with a giant smile on your face. How much do you love what you do?
I absolutely love it. We were talking about it the other day, and I'm probably one of the few people I know that looks forward to Monday. I love going to work.
You're a sicko.
I just love it. On Fridays and Saturday nights, I go to the casinos.
Yeah.
Just to hang out.
Sure.
You know, I'm not doing anything.
Right.
I'm just down there checking it out, and I am standing in the actual manifestation of my dream come true. It's a moving experience for me to be there.
Do you have like the I need to pinch myself moment
Yes.
every time you walk in there?
Yes, every time.
It's really incredible because I was recently down at the Omaha location, and I grew up going to Horseman's in Exarban, and it looks like a completely different building. Like
$250 million later.
Apparently it'll do that, huh? But it's crazy because when you see it from the outside, it still looks pretty similar. Like it doesn't look completely different. But
when
you
you're
walk in,
inside, do you kind of remember where everything was before?
I was like, well, the middle bar used to be
still
here.
there. It's still there,
yeah,
kind of. Right.
And then you had the options for the concessions on the right side.
Yep,
Those are completely
yep.
gone. I'm a little mad that the bathrooms aren't currently in existence on the south side of the building. But
That'll
it's
be in
okay.
April.
Sure.
That'll be in April.
I figured it was coming.
Yeah.
What have been kind of when you've been planning this for 20 plus years,
Mm-hmm.
but there are some things you probably don't know until your feet are on the ground, right?
Right.
What are some of the things that have come up that have been an issue kind of in the beginning that you guys didn't foresee?
Oh, these are, there are so many things that just hit us out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to, finally getting the signatures.
Sure.
And like I said, we're closer to 1 million than we were 500,000.
Yeah.
And the Secretary of State threw us off the ballot.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Sure.
And, to have to sue in the Nebraska Supreme Court just to stay on the ballot was...
For what's supposed to be illegal, right?
Yeah, exactly. And, we ended up making it, but it's things like that. And then...
What about from in the building standpoint? Is there anything like, I mean, on paper, it probably looks like let's put slot machines here, table games here, and we're off and rolling.
Keith Kilpatrick is the vice president of Ho-Chunk Construction,
Yep.
and he's the one who is responsible for building both facilities, Lincoln and Omaha.
Do we blame him for the air conditioner problem?
That was crazy too. So for those of your listeners who don't know, the very first week we were open, we are still very much under construction.
Yeah.
Phase 2 is being worked on right now. It's going to be really grand when it's done.
Sure.
But they're working
Signs
hard.
everywhere.
They're
It's
working
coming.
hard, and Aaron Kinsley is the site manager, and there was a subcontractor there, and he was standing there and said, "Hey, by the way, your truck is parked right here, but our HVAC unit's right behind you. Just want to remind you." Okay. 10 minutes later,
Bang.
the guy backed into it and cut the line.
That's the stuff when you're like, hey, this is my dream, and we need to make sure this happens, and all the
And
lights are
then
flashing, and everybody's
yeah.
happy, and then
things like, the first day we opened, Lance and I were in the elevator, and the elevator doors open, and he says, "There are no markers for what floor you're on. How are you going to remember what floor you're on?"
Sure.
So they had to hurry up and make,
The little things.
make signs for floor 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yep.
So yeah, it's just little things like that you're in such a hurry to get the big things done that sometimes those details kind of...
Well, I have to ask, and we're catching up with Lynne McNally, the CEO of the Horseman, here on the Spotlight Omaha podcast, brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing inside the Pyramid Contractor Studio. Is there any part of you that you've been running this race for so long and the finish line is right there, and you do have these plans for phase 1, 2, 3, and 4, and the door can be opened and it feels like you should, and obviously you're paying the amount of money you just mentioned,
Right.
and you've got to get that revenue back somehow. Was there any part of you that maybe wanted to pull the parachute a little bit and say, maybe we don't open until we're at stage 2 and have both sides ready and everything's available?
Never, because we were under
okay.
such financial pressure.
Sure. Okay.
You
Yeah.
know,
And obviously that's the driving force.
The financial pressure is crushing.
Yeah.
And, we were very, very close to not being in existence anymore.
Sure.
If it weren't for the casinos, we'd be in real trouble.
Yeah.
We purchased and built the facility we have now in Lincoln, and we opened in 2016.
Yep.
We just put up our first barn.
Wow.
Because we did not have the money to build the traditional backside of a racetrack that you need to actually run races.
Yeah.
So, this is real money for us now that we're open. So it was a race to get open, and you're not taking your foot off the gas.
Yeah.
You've got to get open.
Difficult for you, or was it you guys were already running full speed, so it didn't make any sense to slow
Well,
down? Personally for you.
I probably had the least to do with actually getting open.
Yeah.
I went to a lot of meetings, but there were a lot of other people that were ordering slot machines and
You just had to hurry up and wait.
ordering carpet.
Yeah.
And, I was involved in some of the decisions,
Sure.
but, Lance has really taken the lead on a lot of these things, kept the ball rolling. Angel DeRoshi is his chief financial officer. She is amazing. She's doing 5 jobs now.
Sure.
And being the CFO of a 2,000 person company was a big enough job to begin with.
Yeah. That usually
But-
takes up some hours of the
But
day.
yeah, she's really been involved in WarHorse and has really gotten us going fast.
You guys had the trailer that had the betting kiosks in it for
Yes.
sports betting, as well as being able to continue simulcasting.
Right.
2-part question: how big of a deal was it for you guys to be able to continue the simulcasting portion of what you did at Horseman's for your clientele that you already established? And B, were you surprised with the amount of people that kind of stayed loyal and were still there as often as they
Yeah.
were?
Yes to both.
Yeah.
We had briefly discussed what does it look like if we just close, and we decided we absolutely cannot do
Sure.
that. Even if we have a tiny little facility, which is what that was, we still have to be able to offer something. So, those loyal customers, those are the ones that have kept us alive. Those
Yeah.
are the ones that have gotten us to this point
Sure.
to be able to have casinos and be able to have that revenue.
And in a way, this is kind of for them too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we felt a real obligation to offer them something so that then, we could get to something that they really deserve, which is a nice, beautiful place.
Sure.
With, a comfortable environment. You can come bring your friends. Did you go down to the simulcast, the clubhouse
Yeah,
when
I
you were
did.
there?
Yeah, absolutely.
There are couches down
Much
there.
nicer for sure.
Yeah,
The
much
sports book
nicer.
is beautiful too. Like I know,
Sports book is
I know
awesome.
it's smaller than you guys want it to be right now, but it is very, very nice and comfortable in there.
Phase 3,
Yeah,
it's going to be
coming.
bigger.
It's coming,
It's
yeah.
coming. But I was there yesterday for NFL Sunday, and there was a nice crowd there.
Sure.
People were enjoying the games with their friends. That's what I was really looking forward to.
I know you and I have had this conversation privately, and I hope you don't mind me bringing it up here, but we've talked about the aspect of betting on Nebraska football
Yes.
in the state. And
Yeah.
obviously right now the legislation says if there's a sporting event
cannot.
happening in the state, you cannot. I think Matt Rule and that team are going to be pretty good this year, so it might save you guys some money in the long run. But
Saved us some serious money on Saturday, I'll tell you that.
the people in Vegas are not very happy with Deion Sanders right now.
Yeah.
But obviously, when you're in the state of Nebraska and you've got that monster 45 minutes away that everybody
Huge. They are a force to be reckoned with, and they love their team.
Yeah, but like, how much of it is, hey, we'd really like to get this bet on our kiosk and have availability, but there's also some portion of it too. It's like, people don't have to worry about stopping here on the way down there, etc. Is it hard to separate those two, or is it so
Not at all.
encompassing?
There
Okay.
is absolutely no question. Lance and I want to be able to take bets on home games.
Sure.
Period.
Okay.
And we are doing everything in our power to make sure that law gets changed.
Yeah, and if and obviously there's also that draw of, hey, you could come here and bet live while watching the
Right.
game inside of our facility
Right.
too, and
Well,
that's got to be a big draw for you guys as well.
Lance and I are both University of Nebraska alums. We're Huskers.
Sure.
We were both at the game on Saturday.
Yeah.
screaming our lungs out.
Sure. Yeah. There's a lot to yell about. That's for sure.
First half, anyway. First half was
there's a lot to yell at the officials for in the second half.
But we are so passionate about this that we actually tried to get it up during special session.
Wow. Yeah.
And we had good discussions with senators about it, but they were more focused on property tax relief and didn't want the distraction of other bills. And they had said
yelling
to
in
us,
the back, "Hey, let us help."
Yeah, they said, "Listen, if we do that, then we're going to have to take all these other things
Sure.
into consideration that have, that came up during regular session, didn't go anywhere."
You obviously have the issue over in Iowa where you had players both at Iowa and Iowa State who were involved in gambling. What procedures have you guys kind of put in place there to kind of help prevent that?
Well, we've been working with the university has a system. They send you a list of who their students are.
Sure. Okay.
So that everybody knows who their student athletes are.
Yeah.
We've
Usually
also
pretty recognizable.
Pretty recognizable. I think if Becca came in from the volleyball team, I don't think there'd be any question about who she is.
Sure.
And her brother.
Yeah. Good point. Is that a big deal for you guys? Let me ask you that first. Is that kind of a big deal to also help be protective also?
Well, yeah. I mean, like I said, we're Huskers all the way.
Yeah.
If we were in any way directly or indirectly responsible for a student getting in trouble and harming their eligibility, of course we'd feel terrible. Yeah. But there's also personal responsibility. You gotta make sure that you're doing the right thing.
And for anybody that's watching this, it's not just about obviously being a Husker and all that, because you guys are very passionate about human trafficking as well. And there are signs up everywhere. Why is that so important to WarHorse?
Because it's something hidden in our community that's out there, and kids are being victimized every single day.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there are kids that did not grow up in a household like mine. Yeah. I have parents that love me to death and would do anything for me.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot of interesting things about trafficking. When I think of trafficking, I think of the guy dressed in a very gaudy suit with gold chains, and it's not that.
Right.
It's a younger guy that probably looks like you, and
Gee, thanks.
And but
kidding.
A nice looking person,
Sure.
a nice normal looking person
Yeah.
who says to this young girl, I want to date you.
I can give you the world.
And I'll give you the world, and I'll do all these great things for you, and we're going to get married, and it's going to be great. And then he says, I owe money to this guy. If you go to dinner with him tonight, he'll wipe out the debt. If you love me, you'll do this.
Right.
And then it goes from there. Well, what the girl doesn't know is there are 9 girls just like her that the guy is saying the exact same things to. And so, you get pulled in emotionally, or, maybe you're in a difficult household and you're looking for an escape.
Sure.
You get into this and you can't get out.
Right.
So, it's very important to us, the tribe, and to an extent, the horsemen. There's a vulnerable population there that we feel a responsibility to. And we just see a lot of similarities between those types of people and trafficking victims. So.
We're catching up with Lynne McNally, the CEO of the Horseman, here on the Spotlight Omaha podcast, brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing inside of the Pyramid Contractor Studio. Phase 2, it's all over the building. You can't help but miss it. Can you tell us what Phase 2 is and why you guys are so excited about it?
It's going to be fantastic. It's going to double the size of the building. We're going to 1,420 gaming positions.
Wow.
We have about 900 now.
How many are filled right now? Or does that mean all 500 are essentially still open and available?
No, I mean gaming positions as in slot machines and table games.
Oh, I got you. I'm sorry.
Spaces,
okay. Yeah, I got you.
When we get done, I think Lance said we're going to be employing about 1,600 people.
Wow.
So we have tons of openings. Boy, if you need a job, come down to WarHorse.
Okay.
We have the Career Center down on 33rd and Leavenworth is the Career Center.
Okay.
It's right by all the major bus stops. So if you don't have a car, you can go down there. We're looking for everybody. We're looking for dealers. We're looking for management. We're looking for
car
marketing.
Dealers, by the way.
Yeah, car dealers. Car dealers. We're looking for housekeeping. We're looking for technical. We're looking for slot attendants. And if you don't know a lot about it, we will train you.
Sure. Well, I think a lot of people associate the casino business with other hospitality businesses like hotels. Has there been a discussion about a hotel attached?
We're planning on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that a big hurdle for you guys?
No, it's just a matter of a process.
Because that's a bunch of additional maintenance.
Well, right now we're in the process of building that addition. So in addition to the gaming position increase, we're going to have twice as many restrooms. We're going to have a second floor smoking lounge. It's going to be phenomenal. It's going to feel like you're inside, but you're technically outside.
Oh, okay. I was wondering how you guys were going to do that.
We're doing 3 different restaurant options, and then we're doing a pretty elaborate sports bar.
Yeah.
So that'll all be in the spring when that opens, and then we'll roll right into phase 3. And I think phase 3 is going to include some hotel rooms in that.
You guys obviously would have done this 20 years ago with a smile on your face, but Omaha is kind of seeing a unique time in growth. I mean, the city is kind of exploding. There's been discussions of an NHL team. Obviously, Gretna is growing. Elkhorn is growing. It kind of feels like Lincoln and Omaha are a handshake away from being a one merged town at this point.
Yeah, it does really seem like things are going to explode, doesn't it?
How much has that kind of helped, in your eyes, the growth of the casino industry in the state, too?
I think everybody is feeling a little bit more progressive. I think everybody feels like they're tired of being last.
Sure.
You know, sometimes it seems like Nebraska is last in a lot of things, and they're just tired of it. They don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
I've seen this, and I don't have an opinion one way or the other, but I've heard a lot of comments about the marijuana petition that got qualified for the ballot.
And that's probably just because it was so close together.
Well, Colorado is a huge marijuana state.
Sure.
Missouri now, you can buy it. I think Minnesota.
That one I'm not sure about.
I think they recently legalized
Missouri and Colorado
it.
for sure.
Yeah. And so, I think that they're tired of seeing their tax money go across the river.
Yeah.
They're really tired of that.
How people are, and I don't
And and that's why we were talking about mobile sports betting.
Yeah.
I mean, most of Nebraska is betting. They're betting in Iowa. They're either driving across the river to place their bet, or they're disguising their location and they're betting from what seems like Iowa, but they're sitting in their living room.
Yeah.
So, why are we not legalizing it here and collecting $30 million a year in tax revenue?
Sure. For anybody that may not know, so obviously when you go to Vegas, there's a lot of blocked sports betting that you can do on your phone. And from the 10,000-foot view, it would probably look like mobile sports betting wouldn't benefit WarHorse. How would that benefit WarHorse and Horseman's by having legal mobile betting?
Lance had the foresight to contract with 3 of the 4 largest providers.
Okay.
So WarHorse is already contracted with FanDuel, DraftKings, and BetMGM.
Very cool.
So the day that online is legalized, we will have a leg up and we'll be ready to hit the ground running in a very short amount of time.
It sounds like that may not hit legislation until 2026. Is that correct?
Well, it cannot be on the ballot. It's got to be on the ballot during a congressional election year.
Okay.
So that's why we were trying in special session to get it on the ballot. That would have been a chance for us to get on in 2024.
Sure.
That didn't happen. So we can get it on the ballot next year during regular session, but it would not actually go on the ballot until 26.
For anybody that may be on the opposite side that we're talking about, that may be very much, betting is bad, we don't need it in our state, it's non-progressive, et cetera, what do you say to those people who are kind of holding the brick wall up?
Well, if you don't want to bet, feel free to not bet.
Sure.
If you don't want to come to WarHorse, it's beautiful, but if you don't want to come, that's totally fine. But if you're a property owner, you should want this.
Yeah, I
You
agree.
should want this because this is $100 million in property tax relief. You should want mobile sports betting because even if you never place a single wager, that's $30 million a year in taxes. And the bill that we presented, 90% of that money would go to property tax relief, directly to property tax relief. So
You mentioned it a minute ago. It is a beautiful facility. How much of creative input did you have on lighting and how it looks in there?
I had some, but it's really Lance's vision.
Sure, okay.
Lance wanted it to look like Las Vegas. He wanted it to look like you weren't sure if you were on the Strip or not.
Yeah.
That's what he wanted. He wanted it to be cool and modern. He's the one that decided on the blue theme in Lincoln, in Omaha, and Lincoln's more red.
Well thought out.
Yeah, well thought out.
Yeah.
Imagine that, blue in Omaha and red in Lincoln.
Makes sense.
But he had a hand in every single part of it. I don't know if you noticed when you were there, but the bar seating around the main bar, the WarHorse is etched into the back of the metal.
Oh, I did not see
Yeah.
that. Okay, very cool.
The small touches, those are all him.
If you walk in and you look around the place, where are Lynne McNally's fingerprints? What have you kind of had and done in there?
I have a huge emotional investment in the sports book and
Yeah.
the simulcast areas. Those are really what I'm passionate about.
As far as food goes, there's the one standalone restaurant.
Yeah,
in
food's
there.
pretty basic right now.
Yeah. What does
You
growth
can
look like
you
from
can
that
get
point?
some nachos. You can get a hot dog if you want to. You can get a sandwich. The spring is really when we're going to be offering some great food options.
Okay.
That'll be fantastic.
As far as growth in the Omaha area, what does growth look like for WarHorse and Horseman in Omaha and Lincoln?
Well, if you look at the actual population center of Omaha, we are right in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Which was accidental, but it's fortunate for
Works
us.
out, yeah.
I do think the growth of Omaha has been really amazing to me. I've been coming to Omaha since I was a little kid, and I remember when Gretna and Omaha were not even close to each
Millions
other.
of miles away.
Yeah, and now you can't tell where Gretna is because it looks like it's Omaha.
Yep.
Boys Town. Remember when Boys Town was
just a
out of
cornfield?
town?
Yeah, it was a cornfield.
Yeah, it was all the way out of town. Well, that's Omaha now.
Sure.
That's the metro. So it's exciting to, as a person who used to live in Los Angeles, to see the city growing like that. I think it's really amazing. There's a lot of offerings in the city that are city amenities, like St. Louis or Minneapolis, that kind of thing. I'm really excited about the Jocelyn opening again.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's really exciting. I can't wait to go. It looks like the addition is just amazing.
When we talk about, we've kind of already hit on obviously Creighton basketball and things like that. Is there an intention to maybe become a part of that atmosphere at those buildings too? We see so many different sporting events now have betting centric partners and ties to them.
We had already signed with Pinnacle Bank Arena. We are one of their major sponsors now.
Okay.
And we are also now a major sponsor for CHI.
Very cool. Okay.
So we do have a presence there. We've been talking to several other major offerings to see if we can integrate into their messaging at some point. We've got, I know Drew Niehaus. He's our marketing person.
Yep.
We're looking into having a presence in every part of the community. So that's what we'd really like to do.
This is something we kind of ask of all of the people that come into this room, but you've kind of hit on a little bit. You spend a lot of your time, even your free time, at work, but you're a mom.
Yes.
And you also are a business owner, and you're a CEO of a company in 2 locations in 2 different cities. How do you balance all of those different parts of your life successfully?
Well, I think the nice thing is that my son and I have a really good relationship. He's a great kid. He's a really great kid. Yeah, he's a senior in high school at Lincoln East, and we were talking about it before your show. He just started his own business.
What's the name of the business?
It's Capital City Detailing.
There you go. Look it up. Find it on Facebook.
Yeah, and he's really excited about it, and it's exciting to see a young person really have a passion for something.
And be invested in something.
Yeah, and be really invested in something. It took me years to find my passion for something. I had a job,
Right.
but there's a difference between having a job
And having your own
and
thing.
having your own thing that you're really excited
I
about.
agree. We're kind of hitting that point where we tend to shut it down for the day. Is there anything about WarHorse and Horseman that we haven't mentioned that people should know?
Just hope you come out and check us out. We've got some great things going. We've got promotions going all the time. If you sign up for a player rewards card, I think you'll be very happy with some of the things that we're offering for promotions. We have a VIP room in Omaha.
Yeah.
That's pretty elaborate and nice. So come check us out, and check us out again in the spring when we open the major edition. It's going to be stunning.
Well,
I can't wait.
I appreciate you doing this on such short notice, and thanks for being here today.
No problem. Always a pleasure, Jimmy. I really appreciate it.
We'll be back at 11 tomorrow at our regularly scheduled programming time with the folks from At Least of My Brethren. It's a great nonprofit here in Omaha that are helping homeless people and people that are at risk. Please check us out tomorrow at 11 to get their unique approach to how they're handling their nonprofit and helping people in the Omaha area here on the Spotlight Omaha podcast inside of the brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing inside of the Pyramid Contractor Studio. Lynn, thank you. We'll see everybody tomorrow at 11.